is your favourite old Labrador. He kind of lumbers around, he's completely friendly, you can't help but love him. And he's totally unintimidating, he's just the most welcoming, friendly person. That is how I would describe Rob. And, you know, you can't help but love Rob Dolan. It's as simple as that.
Rob Dolan is a cheeky rogue. But I love him. He doesn't always follow the rules, and that's the reason he has been successful, I think, in the Yarra.
You know, we're only here for a short time. Give it a shot. Sometimes it's going to work, sometimes it's not. There's no good sitting back and expecting it to happen. You've got to get out there and make it happen. You know, I had a little bit of success, and then I made some poor decisions. I wanted the business to be about being real, not just to blow it over in a puff of wind. If you huff and puff, you can't blow me down. I always grew up on the land until I was about 14. So my father died when I was around 13, I think, and he moved to the city. And that's purely because my sisters were at university, my brother was overseas. So I was brought up by, I guess, by three women, by my two sisters and my mum. My footy career started playing junior footy in the country. And I was recruited by Port Adelaide, lucky enough to play in two premiership sides quite quickly, and then probably recognised I didn't work hard enough and thought I'd better get a career. They used to call me Riesling. The boys used to get into me. I used to drink with the girls. My mum loved a little sip in the evenings, and I probably used to join in. Yeah. And I wasn't saying I was drinking Grange or anything, but I was just starting off with drinking some wine and probably thought I might just have a look at the wine industry. I had an incident. I actually chopped my left foot off in a bad accident in '92. So the second year I was at Yarra Ridge. And that changed my life quite a bit in terms of how I think.
You know, he used to be a tall, wiry guy, and then that foot kind of threw him.
I had it all revamped and put back together again, so I walk with a little bit of a limp, and I obviously can't go for a run like I used to, so I used to obviously be pretty fit. I guess when you have those types of life experiences, it changes your thinking. You think, well, let's give it a go. So I've probably always been of that opinion, I want to give it a shot. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
I think half the winemakers of the Yarra Valley don't realise that they wouldn't be here if Rob hadn't been so instrumental in building a brand like Yarra Ridge through the 80s and early 90s. You know, that's where Pinot and Chardonnay in the Yarra completely took off.
I mean, he's been in the Yarra since the, I'd say, late 80s, early 90s, because he was originally in the Hunter. So he's seen the whole growth of it, and he's been a big driver of what the Yarra does best.
So I started off at Yarra Ridge in late 1991, so it's a long time ago. Louis Biarcow was the owner of Yarra Ridge at that time. And I just flew down for the interview. I was fortunate enough, I probably knew Tony Jordan, who was involved with the development of Domaine Chandon, and he'd been a consultant in the industry for a while. And that was probably, I think, the major key to actually landing the job. It was a much more intense type of business, and I mean intense. I spent a lot of time on that business and developing wine styles and developing that brand. We were out there doing a lot of things, and I think that's one of the reasons the brand was successful. But Louis was very driven and very focused on wine quality.
Rob had managed to put together quite an amazing team that at the time, a lot of us were pretty green. We had virtually no experience, a few winemaking graduates. But in hindsight, you know, that team ended up being senior winemaker at Yarra Yering, senior winemaker at Mount Mary, senior winemaker at Bass Phillip, Bird on a Wire, Jules Taylor, I Make Gin. You know, we've all kind of gone on to do, I think, some really amazing things, and he just had an eye for putting together a really incredible team at the time.
Two people I knew when I came here were Leander Bortley and Steve Webber. Just thinking the other ones was David Slingsby Smith, who's one of my great mates who unfortunately passed away, and he was one of the Penfolds winemakers. And he was also a Port Adelaide supporter, which was a bit of fun. So we used to go to the footy together. Not many winemakers would go to the footy with a thermos that's actually full of Pinot. It sounded like a bit of a funny thing to do, but yeah, we didn't have a thermos full of coffee, it was full of something else. I was involved in that period were Yarra Ridge originally, St Hubert, which still exists.
He started Punt Road. He was also involved in a winery in the Strathbogies, all of which have gone on to be very successful businesses, started by Rob.
And then the next step was obviously the Punt Road and Sticks brand. My wife calls me Sticks, my son calls me Sticko, and then we were looking for brand names, and that's where it started from. It became a pretty strong Yarra Valley brand, and then became part of a public company, and I guess I learned a lot about business at that stage, and I learned about people, and that probably taught me more than anything else I've ever had. I also know that it's a pretty ruthless world out there.
Rob often makes decisions that are not purely commercially based. And when he works with guys who make pure commercial decisions, and he is making a relationship decision or a fruit decision or a wine decision, often that is the right decision to make, but a businessman won't make that decision. And unfortunately for Rob, I think at times those decisions have cost him money, they've cost him businesses, they've cost him, you know, momentum.
All of us have great ideas and a lot of passion, and don't let the passion drive you too much. You know, you've got to make certain that it's got to add up.
He's a phoenix. He never ceases to amaze me that he gets knocked down and then he gets back on his feet.
He's never been afraid to make a mistake, Rob. He knows, often rolling the dice, that what he's about to do is a real long shot. But when it's paid off, it's been a brand like Sticks, it's been a brand like Punt Road, it's been a brand like, you know, Yarra Ridge, and it's been a brand like Rob Dolan Wines.
You know, we're only here for a short time. Give it a shot. Sometimes it's going to work, sometimes it's not. And in my situation, you know, I had a little bit of success, and then I made some poor decisions. Things don't happen in 5 seconds. You're not going to make $1 million in 5 seconds. It's going to take time. And if I can assist people to make some good decisions, then I'll try to do that. And that's one of the reasons we've done what we've done with this type of business. This sort of hatchery concept. We have 5 winemakers, 3 of them actually have their own brands. It allows people to grow. And it's the same situation with, you know, the cheese business that we have here. People are involved. 4 Pillars Gin's probably another one, which has been very successful.
Rob's probably the reason I'm sitting here, to be honest. You know, I was a former athlete, and someone had suggested I go and meet this former footballer who was a winemaker and just have a chat about, you know, doing vintage and getting my hands dirty. And I met Rob, big, gentle giant. I had no idea what to make of him. He's just the most friendly, giant doofus you'll ever meet. And at the end of that conversation, he offered me a job in the cellar at Yarra Ridge. And from there, I guess my life changed completely.
Cameron was looking for an opportunity. He had a concept of doing actually tonic water originally. And Cam decided to move into trialling the gin, as well as being my sales and marketing manager. To see that business do what it's done, but they taught me more than they probably realised in the value of actually marketing a brand and being true to themselves and true to what they're doing. It's a real credit to them. When you're having a wine, you obviously want to have it with some food. And there's an incredible focus in media in terms of what we're now doing, which is great. Melbourne is, you know, considers itself to be one of the food capitals of the world, but we also have an industry which is obviously the wine industry, and it matches beautifully with food. That's what it's all about. I read a thing in the article the other day, which I messaged to the team here, that looks like most people are having 2 breakfasts a day now. So that may change the wine styles we do as well. You just have to look around Melbourne and any of the big cities. Everybody goes out for Sunday breakfast. I think there's opportunities there. We need to be thinking about what people are doing. There's things that can be designed and styles that can be designed that may match up correctly. And I think that that'll be one of the changes that I'd love to see happen. How to do it, I don't honestly know. I have not figured out what to have with smashed avocado. No, I haven't got any idea. I'd love to try and say I've got something up my sleeve. If anything, I'd probably head towards a white blend, maybe a field blend, yeah. There's so much bluff and bluster that comes in this industry. I'd just like to see winemakers perceived as real people, not trying to be over the top. It's the personalities that are involved, and often the most successful brands are those related back to a real person or a real winemaker. So whether it be McWilliams, whether it be Wolf Blass or Brian Crozer or whatever person it may be, that does relate back to those people. I'd always protected the name Rob Dolan. I didn't ever think that I'd ever use it. I wouldn't say I'm not a super confident person. I'm quietly confident underneath, but when you've had some difficult past things where you want to make certain your timing's right, and sometimes it can be too late, and I thought now's the time to give it a go. And I came up with this little motto: real wine, real people, real character, and that's basically what we were about. I wanted the business to be about being real. If you've got the right people who understand what you're trying to achieve, and if you can build that environment, people are not growing in their jobs, they're going to look for alternatives.
He's a very selfless guy, Rob, often to his detriment, but that's just who he is. He will always look out for people.
Brands can actually develop. They've got to be real. They can't be create a brand from nothing and then expect it to work. It's got to have substance behind it. It needs to have people to understand and feel part of it and grow with that brand.
So he's built this, what is now a big, very successful business in maybe 5 years, if that, from nothing.
It was the 2014 Wine of the Year from James Halliday gave us a good start that allowed us to, I guess, get onto the map.
Yeah, I think in wine too, people are naturally drawn to rock star winemakers that are making the Grange of the world, or those massively expensive high-end collectible wines. Rob's never fallen into that trap. I have no doubts he could make some of the great wines of Australia, but what he's wanted to do is to get wine to people, because he's a people person. He doesn't overthink wine. He makes great, clean, varietal, regional wines.
We're much finer wines, which are, I think, probably age very well and well suited to food. I think you've got to move into the trends in the markets.
Rob's Pinots, they just have this silkiness about them, and they're always very soft, and there's beautiful tannin structure in them, which is what I want. I want Pinot to look like Pinot, and he makes them like that. I don't think he'll slow down. So I think he'll continue to build Rob Dolan wines. It's really nice to see his kids involved. It's sort of full circle, the family of wine. And I really don't know. You never know with Rob. He's such a rogue, a lovable rogue, that you just never know what's going to happen. He could pull something completely surprising out of the hat. Now, that's one of the things I like about him. He constantly surprises me. And I know it's always going to be successful.
He's now in such a good place because he's in charge of his own fate. He can make those long-term decisions, and I think we're seeing now that's paying off. His brand is strong, his distribution is strong. He's got his family involved in the business now with the boys and with Tess, and you can kind of see now a very long-term decision unfolding.
I think positive thinking. I think you've got to give it a go. Not always will it work. You've got to believe in yourself, and it's going to be up to yourself to actually make it work. I can always sit there and say, yeah, I had a shot. I may not have got it right. I'd certainly made some mistakes. And hopefully now we've got it right, and I've got the right balance, because things don't last for 5 seconds. You're going to be there for a while. I'd like to make a little bit of a mark in my time, and if there's something that I can pass on to the kids, and that's all well and good.